What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Weigh-In podcast. Ray, how are you doing, man? It's been a while. I'm joined by you. It's just been a while, man.
It's been a minute, man. I'm doing all right, thank you. Same old. New year, still grinding and whatnot. Got some exciting news for boxing coming up. It's been a quiet month since, obviously, just because of the Omarion variant. Obviously, we've had to put things on pause. I know some people that don't get the joke. I know it's not Omarion. Before bare people in the comment come, hey, Rod, no one called that. I'm joking.
Did you see? He actually did like a video. He was like, "Look, it's not the Omarion video, bro. I'm like, yo, you had to do that. You had to do that,
man. Agenda has to run, man. If the joke's funny, let it fly. So, obviously, the at least the British boxing scene has been quiet for the last month because of that. I don't know the reasoning for the American boxing scene being quiet, but is what it is. Two mainstays in boxing being quiet, but you know, as of last week, things picked up. So let's delve into it. But how have you been though as well?
Do you know what, bro? Like, started off. You know, like how they said the new year starts off slow for people.
Yeah.
But in a good way. Like, I'm ready, and I just, you know, when you have to actually schedule stuff, that's when you're busy. Now that I got a schedule, I'm like, yo.
Listen, man. Nice. The North boys are up, man. Can't versus but you guys got the sauce right now up the north. So
we got another, and we've also got Fury up there as well. But you said it as well, you know, like there's slowly things are like coming together. American scene, UK scene. But I think today what we are actually going to chat about is the breaking news that happened last week. And before my idea, I didn't actually want to chat about the heavyweight division, and it wasn't chaos. But now we got the news. Tyson Fury, Dillian Whyte is on. The split is 80-20 in terms of, I think the figures came out like Tyson Fury was getting.
No. It's even, isn't it 70-20, and then the winner gets the last 10, I believe.
I'm not sure, but we all know it's gone to Tyson Fury, the main split. But I guess my thing for you is, first, are you happy that Dillian Whyte finally gets this shot that a lot of people have been claiming that he's been rightfully deserving for a long time?
Yeah, I think for me, that's even Andy Joshua put out that jokes post where he goes, listen, the guy might be my enemy, but I'm actually glad that he's got his shot. So I think that's the sentiment of a lot of people, is like, he's done a lot of good things for himself, like profile-wise. Even when the WBC was screwing him over, he still built up his profile, which I was happy about. And just the fact that they still try to screw him over again. And I do not understand how Tyson Fury gets away with some of the stuff that he does. Because this guy was out here calling at Ngannou. For me, he was never going to face Usyk. He was just drawing up more attention to him so that when he does eventually face Whyte, you know, the eyes are on him. Because I'm not trying to be funny here. He still wants that Anthony Joshua fight.
Yeah.
Everyone knows Anthony Joshua is still the A side. He still wants that fight. He is banking on AJ beating Usyk so that he can have that one last fight with Anthony Joshua. And if he beats Anthony Joshua, he's going to retire and go into the sunset. So I don't believe none of this stuff that he wanted to make the undisputed fight is BS, man. They all want that money fight with Anthony Joshua. That's the truth.
I think we're gonna talk on Joshua Usyk soon, but the thing I want to talk about with Fury in what you said was, I think with him putting the name of Usyk out, a bit like what you said, it's a fight that he would struggle with. But if you put the name out first, you be the guy to show that, look, I'm trying to push this, and Dillian Whyte's kind of like an obstacle that I have to take care of and stuff. Do you think in some ways Tyson Fury's doing that as a strategy to, I guess, because like I said, the way I look at it, Dillian Whyte, this is his biggest fight, right?
Yeah.
No, this is this stage. Tyson Fury to start the mind games already. Do you think that's a bit of a ploy that he's doing, or is it too early to say that?
Some people call it mind games. It just depends what you consider mind games, because you also got to remember, Dillian Whyte, like, might not be angered by Fury. He might be more, his beef might be more with WBC. Because everyone keeps on doing this Fury mind games, and I feel like sometimes people give him too much credit when it's just like, his history would show that he's dropped out of big rematches after he's won the belt. He doesn't like being the front runner, which is very true, and he's shown that by only having one title defense, even though he beat Klitschko all those years ago. For whatever reason, all this mind game stuff, I think people just throw that on him without him intentionally looking to do that. And I just feel like this is another like case of it where all the whole thing of, oh, AJ is not taking step aside or he's asking too much for step aside money. Of course he's asking too much for step aside money because he wants to fight Usyk.
Yeah.
Like the way he spun it to make people think that, oh, AJ's being greedy. It was just like, do you know what? When the hype PR machine is on your side, you can say what you want. And that's what Fury was doing. And listen, man, credit to him. You got your money up. I'm still shocked that Frank Warren put that much like
I was gonna say
up. He must be burning because I know when he saw Matchroom's figure, he's probably thinking, damn it, I didn't even mean. If I knew how much Matchroom were putting up, I wouldn't even put up that much. But it is where it is. I'll be intrigued to. No, I'm not even going to say I'm going to be intrigued. I know the card is not going to be that great because of how much money that they're putting up. So, you know, people are going to look forward to the main event. Hopefully, we get 1 or 2 prospects on there. But I doubt it. It's just probably going to be a lackluster card. But obviously, the main event is where all the money's poured into.
And on Fury, then, like you said about this mind games concept, do you think it's a bit of, I guess, a block to him actually having this element of fear? Because, I mean, Dillian Whyte is, even though he's the known, he's the unknown in the big stage, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You've seen Wilder had title fights prior to Fury. Seen Joshua on the big stage. Is there a possibility of Fury going into the unknown against someone like Dillian Whyte, who's not been on this big heavyweight stage for a title fight? Could that be a worry? Or will we see, I know it's early days, but would we see a confident, slick Tyson Fury?
I think it's a bit of both. I think now that everyone can tell he's near the end of his career. And I think from his last fight with Wilder, it's been showing that he's lacking motivating himself, for lack of a better term. And I feel like with him lacking motivating himself during like camps and everything, that's why I think he wants to get these like 1 or 2 fights out of the way so that he can retire. Because listen, the kudos to him, the guy has put in the years into this sport. And you can only, the window of opportunity for the sport is so small. And one of the main reasons is because once you do get a certain level of success, it's harder to keep yourself motivated. I think we get too accustomed to seeing someone like Mayweather and we think that that's the norm. And I think outside of just Mayweather's like unworldly defense, his work ethic is crazy. Even he's retired now and he's still working out like he's fighting.
Videos.
Yeah. And I think people have normalized that in a way to think that all fighters are like that, when in reality, most fighters aren't that driven. And to be fair, it's also understandable because I guess with Mayweather, it's more of a lifestyle thing to do that, whereas other fighters, they got other ventures they want to go into. They've put their body through the ringer for so many years. And I think Fury's just at that point where it's just like, yeah, he wants to beat Dillian Whyte, get a second title defense under his name, which is shameful. But, you know, let me keep quiet on that. I won't, but I'll keep quiet for it now.
Listen, if he gets another one and it's a big scope in terms of UK boxing.
The bar is on the... Stop giving him credit for having defenses. The bar is on the floor. This is so shameful. I grew up on Lennox Lewis. I'm not trying to hear none of this stuff. I'm not.
If you criticize somebody for not defending the belt, then they go defend it against possibly the biggest puncher in boxing that we've seen in a long time in Wilder.
You beat the same guy 3 times. No, I'm not.
If he can do it,
I cannot give him credit for beating the same guy 3 times. I grew up on Lennox Lewis, Evander Holyfield, and Tyson. Well, I didn't exactly grow up on them. That was just before my time of me knowing how the sport works and everything. But when I got a bit older and I actually grasped what Lennox Lewis was doing, I was probably 10 or 11 when Lennox Lewis was beating Tyson and done Klitschko, when Lennox Lewis himself was past his prime. So I've seen a past his prime heavyweight do excellent things like that. A guy that had 2 losses and got it back in blood. A guy that beat the previous generation, his generation, and the future generation. And you are trying to give me Tyson Fury.
I'll give credit where it's due for Fury, but please stop acting like what he's doing is some unbelievable.
No, it's not unbelievable. But all I'm saying is, from your point where you got on this thing of him not being able to defend or coming in, he's come in as the A side where the pressure's on him against Wilder.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
the pressure will go onto him, I would say, and there's Dillian Whyte pressure, and I'll talk about that soon. But the pressure's on Fury right now because you are going in as a big favorite, I reckon.
For sure.
Right. So that's where the pressure is on him. But what I want to say on Dillian Whyte, though, same with Wilder in some ways, you came in as the underdog, but you come in with this level of pressure where this is your main stage. This is what you've been claiming for. This is what you've been wanting. You've gone through all these obstacles that have been put in front of you from the WBC. You've been pushed aside for bigger events in America and stuff where the champion's gone that way.
Yeah.
Is he going to feel the pressure? Or
for sure.
As a normal fight, as the underdog?
I think it's a bit of both. I think what we've seen from Dillian Whyte is that he's good at compartmentalizing things. So even when he had the pressure of his last fight with Povetkin, when he in the rematch, a lot of people were thinking, well, is he going to be tentative? If he's going to be the same Dillian Whyte that's going to go for it after suffering a big knockout like that. And credit to him, he went out there and he went for it. He went out there and was the bulldozer that he is. And he had that right mentality. So I think, he's gonna have the right amount of nerves. Because I think what people don't take into consideration that may have not competed in combat sports or even just in individual sports is that whether at high level or low level, everyone has butterflies. And it's just about how you use that. The nerves are good. If you're not nervous, well, from a lot of great fights I've said, if you're not nervous, it's a bad thing because you might not be as sharp as you need to be. Everyone has a certain level of nerves, but it's more about can you get the mental balance of, using that nerves in your favor, or you're going to go in there and it's going to go against you and you'll be a deer in headlights. But I can only give it to Dillian Whyte from what he's shown that when the going gets tough, he gets going. So, kudos to Whyte. I think he's got a bigger chance than most people give him credit for. And the only reason I say that is, as skilled as Tyson Fury is, for whatever reason, he likes to indulge in firefights that he doesn't need to, and he'll give you the chance. It's like he'll give you the chance to knock him out if it's available. The only issue with Tyson Fury is if you don't knock him out, the guy's relentless. So it's going to be a rock'em sock'em fight. I'm looking forward to it. But listen, man, I think my main thing is I'm just happy for Dillian Whyte. I'm unsure about where this is going to be hosted, though. Do you know if it's going to be in Manchester or London? O2?
I think based on this, it'll probably be in London. I'd reckon they'll probably do, or I'm not sure where they do it. I'm guessing. Can't be Stadium, I don't Echo Arena, wherever.
Listen, this is what I keep on telling people.
This ain't a stadium fight, you're right.
We get so normalized by what AJ does, and every other fight AJ does is stadium. This isn't normal, and this ain't even to you directly. I'm just talking to the people. Then,
you
need to really appreciate the times that we're in, because what AJ has done for not only heavyweight boxing, not only British boxing, but this boxing in general, setting the standards of. We look at him and we just think, stadium fight. And if you deep it, that's not normal. Not many people are just doing big stadium venues like that, and he's selling it out as well. It's almost like when. Now that they're in their twilight years, you've got like Messi and Ronaldo. This season, they may not be doing the numbers that they normally do, but for the decade plus of years that they've given us amazing scenes, when they do get to this point, don't look at them and like, oh, well, they're past it. Like, no, you got to appreciate the greatness whilst it was here. So that's just my main thing. And just putting that comparison, now we're going to finally see Tyson Fury of how big his fan base really is.
No, you're right. I'm on you for that because I personally am on the same wavelength of now we get to see Tyson Fury, the A side in the UK. Let's see what your fan base can bring.
For sure.
I want to just stay on the heavyweight division, but just move a little bit away from these two. And one thing that we talk about with boxing, there's no clarity. This division's all over the place. This division is up until last week. I personally felt the heavyweight division was similar.
Yeah.
But now there seems to be a bit of clarity. You have one fight to one side. You have now room to make Usyk versus Joshua too. You've said this. Is it a case of we are getting to all roads leads to Joshua if Fury wins, or if Usyk does go and win, where do we go from there? Because the money fight, is that still going to be Joshua if Joshua beats Usyk? I mean, Joshua loses or not?
I think it would be the money fight, but just not for Fury. Because I think what would happen if AJ was to lose to Usyk, touch wood he doesn't, touch wood he gets that win. But I think if AJ was to lose to Usyk, what would happen is that AJ then does the fights, the fantasy fights that people have been waiting on. So I bet you any money, Wilder is banking on AJ losing.
That's the one. That's the fight. Yeah, you're right.
Wilder is banking on AJ losing so that they can have their big money fight. But I think the big loser in that would be Fury. Because then if Fury, yeah, he can go on to face Usyk, but he knows that that's not going to generate the money that he would have got facing Joshua. Because as much stick as, you know, Fury likes to do of calling AJ Big Dosser, did you see how upset Fury was when AJ lost? Because he realized that all that mucking about he was doing before, they should have had that fight. And, you know, his team, whether it's Top Rank or Frank Warren, they were messing about. AJ was, you know, badly trying to make that fight in the Middle East. It was there. And then the arbitration came through for the Wilder that obviously I presume that their team knew and they were just taking the piss out of Matchroom and Eddie and AJ. But then when AJ lost, it was kind of like, oh, crap. Like, that's my money fight gone. That's my retirement check gone. So I feel like, yeah, it's just AJ is always going to be AJ. AJ's built up his profile where it's just like win, lose, or draw. You're tuning in to see him at this point. And, you know, Fury against Usyk, yeah, it will be good, but I think Usyk's got a great personality, me personally, but I think Usyk's personality is great. When people try to be like, oh, Usyk's not a big name because he's boring, and you're just not paying attention. But this guy has one of the best characters in boxing, if you ask me. Fantastic personality. Maybe it's just because, you know, he's Ukrainian and people just aren't tuning. People need to be honest with themselves. Sometimes if someone's not your countryman or if it's not got a big media machine that the US has, you're just not as interested. That's the truth for some. And I feel like it'll be, yeah.
I was just going to say that because you say about like the money fight, all roads leads to Joshua. If Joshua lost again to Usyk, I mean, in a theoretical world, one heavyweight champion, another unification, that in theory should be the biggest fight in the world. But what you said does hit because I'm kind of on the same wavelength as you. Because one, unfortunately, isn't from the UK.
Yeah.
One is, we know where our big other UK fighter is. It's not going to hit as much. And I don't even think it's not even a thing where it can hit. And
yeah,
I'm kind of with you. I feel like if Fury needs that final paycheck after Dillian Whyte, because I personally think it'll be one more fight than he's done.
Yeah, of course.
I think he'll beat Dillian Whyte.
Yeah.
He would be hoping that it can be Joshua because you make the fight and then you get what I personally think is, and that's going to be his first stadium fight in the UK.
Yeah, for sure. I think, do you know what'll be interesting? I think everything depends on how this fight goes with Dillian Whyte. So I need to see what venue they choose for this fight. I need to see, you know, how the pay-per-view numbers are looking. I need to see how the attendance is looking. Because as much as I jokingly slander Fury, he is a big name, but it's just how big is that what we have to find out. And I feel like if he does the numbers, then maybe he might do a stadium in the UK. It won't be Wembley, I don't think. I don't know if he can capture Wembley, but maybe he can do one of the smaller stadiums.
I'm just thinking, even then, the smaller stadiums, do they have the cachet, if that makes sense? So we've got Old Trafford. That's a big stadium, it's 70,000. Wembley's big. Outside of that, what, you going Emirates? Again, that's quite big.
I don't, for whatever reason, Emirates they don't host events there.
Does it?
I don't know the logistics of it, but even like England football matches, they don't really host at Emirates. So yeah, it's either or maybe Tottenham. I forgot how much Tottenham holds. Is it whether it's 60 or 70,000? So maybe Tottenham would be a good shout. But here's where it gets weird because Tyson Fury is a northerner, but he hasn't really built his base up north. So, and I found it funny when the WBC were claiming of like how little of a B-side Dillian Whyte is, but Dillian Whyte's done the O2 on multiple occasions as him as the headliner. So Dillian Whyte's not a small boy to like, he's got his base in London and he's shown that. I think after his fight with AJ, what he's done with his career is remarkable, given the fact that this is the first time he's fighting for the belt. And in addition to the fact that this guy has, you know, headlined the O2 with Chisora, he's headlined the O2, I think he headlined the O2 with Joseph Parker as well, wasn't it? I believe
he might have. I think then he did one. I think was he on undercard with Povetkin? Was that a headline as well?
No, Povetkin was during 2020 at the Eddie Hearn's house. So that's a different situation because obviously we're in different times. And I know that, well, the rumors were that the WBC or Tyson Fury's team tried to use that as an excuse to white a lowball Dillian Whyte. But I was kind of a thing of don't take the piss. You know, the whole reason why he took a pay cut and, you know, why numbers weren't doing that well was in a global pandemic. But I'm just more intrigued to see, you know, the numbers that Tyson Fury can do with his fanfare that he's got at the moment. And I'm just hoping he doesn't shoot himself in the foot, because after the momentum he built up from the Wilder win, it's like certain things, you look at him, you're hearing what he's saying, you're like, cool, he's building up momentum, keep doing it. And then he'll go back to his odd behavior where he'll just shoot himself in the foot. And it's just like, why? Like, he's such a big self-sabotager, it appears sometimes. And I don't know why that is.
I'm going to go on the record and say this will be the final year we see Tyson Fury. I feel like after this year, we get the retirement. The only reason I'm going on that is, before we quickly wrap up, is I remember he did that list. On there was Dillian Whyte. On there was Joshua and stuff. And I feel like in some ways he's going to be a man of his word and do his best to tick off what's on that list logistically, and in terms of also what happens with the paycheck and outcomes of other fights. So that's why I just think you can possibly get 2 fights this year, and I think that's it. I think he's done, because this looks like it's going to be in April, end of April. That gives you 8 months to get another fight in.
But I think it all depends on when AJ's fight is.
Yeah, that's the only side bit to it. It depends when that particular fight happens. But I'm on record right now, the start of February, well, end of January, start of Feb. This is the final year of Tyson Fury's career. Then he's done.
No, I hear it. I think that's if they can make the fight this year. Basically, if AJ wins, this is dependent on 2 things. If AJ wins, then he'll go into 2023 if they need to delay the fight until then. If AJ loses, I agree with you, this will be his final year, because I think they can make that fight with Usyk way quicker than they can make that fight with AJ. So if Usyk wins, it will be the end of this year. If AJ wins, it'll either be at the end of this year or early next year. But listen, just like Errol Spence and Terence Crawford, you know, time is wrapping up. So, but you know, that's talk for another episode.
And with that, we are going to wrap up today's episode. It's been fun to come back, get into the groove.
Yeah, for sure.
I think now boxing's slowly kicking on, so there are more episodes coming through. But before we go, we need you guys to do us a bit of a favor. So if you like the comment, you know what to do. Just like, share, and subscribe on the YouTube page. As Ray says, tell a friend to tell a friend, tell a friend. It's boxing. Everybody loves a good conversation. Follow us on all the socials, the Instagrams _ the weigh-in _ the Twitter page is also _ weigh-in the _ If you have any ideas, if you have any things of where do you think Fury, Joshua, Usyk, Dillian Whyte, where's the heavyweight division going? Let us know. Let us have a conversation with you. We are going to be a lot more active on the socials. We've got ideas of Twitter spaces leading up to fights. We want to get you guys all involved. With that, though, we are going to wrap up. Ray, before we go, any last words?
Listen, man, what a year is going to be ahead. So we're looking to, you know, bring you more coverage. So tune in. Hopefully, you know, we'll see more of us around, more people added to added to the channel as well. You'll see us maybe even going on to other channels as well. So look out for us, build with us at the weigh-in and stay in the scales.
With that, we are going to wrap up again. Appreciate you always for coming on. And with that, that's another episode of the Weigh-In Podcast. Take care, love, and
peace. Take care, people. Love and guidance.